So that's kind of where it stands at the minute. I don't know, do you want to add anything, Mary? Or
No, that's really it. It is that kind of sense of you can do anything. But I guess because it has got a heroes or women's rights angle, you would maybe need to think about that if you did it for this campaign, you know, that your event is aware of any gender bias. So for example, if you did a university challenge, you'd need to have an equal amount of women taking part. You know, you couldn't do an event and then realise that there weren't women at it or something like that, you know. So
and just to put out there as well, the 30th of March is Mother's Day, so if that ties in with any event ideas that you have, it may just be one to bear in mind. But again, we're really open, we're not pushing towards that or anything like that. Set a reminder in your personal diary. We actually have a really nice greeting card if you'd like to send it.
So with regards to the Heroes campaign, then, is your main drive to get awareness out there, is it? Or
I mean, it's kind of both. It's like fundraising and awareness. So I suppose we want to promote the fact that there's female heroes out there and what women are doing around the world, and then also obviously to fundraise for our programs so that we continue to support them and empower them or help them empower themselves, I guess.
What kind of things do the programs do?
So, well, that Female Food Heroes project is one of the big things, in that the amount of people who saw the show and started realising the importance of women in farming was kind of an awareness raiser in Tanzania. But then also Sister Martha, then you win a prize and you kind of is dependent on what you need. So she set up a centre there where she teaches other people about farming. So a lot of the work we do, program work, and like emergency work is often like giving supplies really quickly, but with the program work it's more about long term, like changing people's awareness of their rights and how to access them. So it's a little harder to kind of quantify, but it's more about long-term change and people being aware of what they're doing. And Sister Martha does a lot of workshops on climate change adaptation, so helping people to farm in kind of in new climates basically because the weather is changing. And then there's also work done on sexual violence against women. And they have a campaign about people taking pledges of how they will act in their own lives in relation to sexual violence, so that they're aware of their own actions. So it's kind of, and then we have a HIV and AIDS program as well, but I wouldn't know the ins and outs of that.
Is this all in Tanzania at the moment that it's focused, the Hero campaign?
We have an office in Tanzania, so kind of our staff, but we're in East Central and South Africa, but the Female Heroes started in Tanzania, and now they're doing it in other countries. It's starting to spread around.
It was so successful that other countries are like picking it up on their TV schedules, so it's sort of spreading kind of to
So this drive is currently for Tanzania?
Say again?
This drive is currently for Tanzania?
No, like I suppose the inspiration for it was Sister Martha and the other female heroes in Tanzania, but I suppose we're not fundraising or raising awareness specifically for Tanzania. It's more of a general campaign for female heroes globally.
So what kind of areas, and if we were to go out, say, and if I was to ask somebody for some money for the Female Heroes campaign, where would this money be going to? Tanzania, and what other locations? I mean,
I guess what we can do is maybe provide you with like a Q&A document. That might be best, and then it can have all the different. We're going to prepare one of those anyway for our actual heroes. So we could look at that and then give you some examples of specific programs. So we can probably talk to our program director there and see kind of which ones she thinks would be best to highlight.
And just a little bit more again, as I said, like when the money, when they go out to people like Sister Martha, where the money, how it's helping them, as in is it just raising awareness, or like if we raise say €1,000 when that goes over there to Tanzania, how's that spent to help them, to better them? The women out there, say even in the female food.
I mean, we probably have pretty good, like Sister Martha, as Mary said, like was given a prize and she used that to start the centre, and then she has local farmers, both men and women, in where she sort of teaches them her sustainable methods, and then they pay it forward into their own community, and then she also is able to sustainably farm herself, and she uses that to support the local community and specifically many orphans that she's taken in. So we'll have a lot of examples like that we can send on to you.
I suppose it's just kind of what people may ask is, do you just give her the money, or did she come up with a program and you deemed that to be suitable, and you kind of you'd have like a seed fund in a sense, and then you kind of allocate her some prize money, if it's kind of the X Factor style, to fund this project that she's put forward, or is it kind of
it's not just like cash prize.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
You know,
it's
you're
not
not
a
just giving
cash
cash.
prize,
It's
You know, it's for a specific project that she
Okay.
kind of, rather than saying you win a tractor, it would, you know, if she says I already own a tractor, I need a, you know, whatever.
Yes.
So it's cash, but to spend on project
Okay.
work.
And this project work, that's their own ideas and that's their own kind of input. Are the Oxfam helping them with those ideas?
They
or-
help them, but I mean, when you people like Sister Martha, like it was saying there, like she got her land at 18. Remember, she was telling us her family that she was crazy because it was terrible land. Like these people are experts, so it's helping them tell us what they need rather than us saying
This is what you should
this
do.
is what you should do. They know what
Okay.
they should do. They just don't have the access to maybe the tools or resources. So it's
Okay.
it's a team effort, really. It's a partnership.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
If we ignore this college stuff, if I ask you what you guys want from us, like four enthusiastic young guys, like want to try our hands at volunteering for Oxfam, then we want to know what your expectations are from us, because we have put number of expectations from you, so we should know a few expectations from your side as well.
Well, I suppose it's a shame our fundraising colleagues aren't here with us, but I suppose what they are really hoping that will happen, especially with the Heroes campaign, is that people will sort of hold their own events, and that they will drive as much fundraising and awareness as possible. So if you were to hold, I mean, I guess, like, we're open to whatever kind of event that you want to do, but I suppose the more people that you can engage with that event, the better. So you said there at the beginning that your target is to raise $5,000. Like, if you were to raise $5,000,
It's
you
just
would be
our teacher said
delighted.
1 million.
Really?
Yeah, but it's
Well,
like
if you want to raise
5
a
grand.
million,
We are
then
just
that's-
focusing on 5,000. We are just focusing right now on 5,000 in 3 months.
Well, I mean, I suppose our expectation for the community events is, you know, sometimes people do community events and they raise €100, and if that's what they raise, we are delighted that that's what they were able to raise, because obviously every little helps. But if your target was to raise $5,000, that would be hugely meaningful for the campaign. So, I mean, I guess we didn't. You've kind of set our expectations at $5,000
Yeah.
now, so.
You met 2.5. Yeah, cool. Okay.
But I mean, like I said, like, we try and support people who are fundraising for us as much as possible. So if there's other things that you know, we can do, or, you know, help you raise awareness, or like tweet about it, or, you know, post on Facebook, or give you posters or whatever, like, we try and do that as much as we can. So
That was one of our things. Yeah. What kind of resources are?
Yeah.
well, for example, for the Heroes event, what we're doing is we're printing up a lot of Heroes event posters, but the actual event section will just be a blank section that you can fill in yourself. So, and we're also creating like Heroes DL invites. So a DL is kind of almost like a quarter of a A4 size, in case you're not familiar with that. And again, we will have sort of like Heroes branding on and information about where the program funding is going. But then you'll be able to sort of fill it out yourself in terms of saying, okay, we're actually having a tag rugby event on Saturday, or whatever it is. We also are producing Heroes.
And just with regards, and then will there be other people handing them out as well, or is that just something that we can get done up here through Oxfam and then we spread ourselves?
Yeah, like, so we're going to be printing up a few thousand, and then anyone who's doing a community event will be given an allocation, or as much as you need,
Okay.
and then you can spread them out. But like, let's say if you were doing this at UCD, like, that would be the UCD event, so that you wouldn't be like competing with an UCD. But you know, like a shop in Mayo might also be doing an event, and then they'd be handing them out down there. But again, they'd be, you know, filled out with their own event
Yeah.
details,
No.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We also have sort of a general Heroes leaflet, which is going to be like an A4 folded in half, which is going to have pretty top line information about the campaign. So just if anybody wants to know more about it, I guess the main call to action with all the materials will be to drive people to the website, because that's where, you know, it's obviously the best way to disseminate information. There's going to be just like general Heroes posters, which we could give you as well if you'd like. So they will be featuring the various heroes that I brought you through there earlier, like Mary Macklins, etc. And then I guess from a general marketing perspective, we're supporting the whole campaign with a really widespread advertising campaign. So hopefully by the time you come to talk to somebody about an Oxfam Heroes event, they'll be familiar with the concept, so it won't be that you're like starting from scratch. So that's hopefully going to
Are
happen.
there, again, just to kind of add, if you don't know, so we're asking the questions
Sure, yeah.
with volunteers, then are there any, like, if we say this tag rugby event, there's only 4 of us in this group, but obviously it would be quite a big day if it goes to plan. Would there be other volunteers involved in Oxfam that will be able to help us out on the day, or Is that something we would have
I
to?
don't know how
So.
easy that would. I mean, there's the rest of the UCD Oxfam group, which
Yeah.
is maybe 4 more people. But that might be something you'd have to nearly advertise within UCD. I mean, we could help you out, but I don't know if we would have a huge pool.
I mean, how
to
many
help
people
out.
do you think for something like that?
Again, we have to, we have to get down
Sort out
into it
the
first. I mean,
logistics,
there's
yeah.
the UCD. There's a stadium there that we were hoping to kind of use
Yeah.
and get from the college for the event, and I think it could hold a good few hundred. So
Okay.
You could talk to UCD VO maybe.
yeah, that's where we're
Mhm.
going to approach them. We want to kind of
Yeah.
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 I mean, I guess
They're good
we
for
probably wouldn't be in a position to be like, yes, we can get you 100 volunteers, but if you reject, you know, if you had an event with a definite date, like we could probably put
We
a
could
call
put
out to
mass
our
out, yeah,
network
yeah.
and just sort of see how many people come back. And
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose all I can say is if you need us to do something, we'll do it, you know, as much as we can because you guys are obviously helping us
Yeah.
out. But we wouldn't, I suppose, be able to be like, yeah, we'll get you 200 people, no problem.
No problem.
Because
Yeah.
I suppose at the same time, like we try to limit how much we ask people because sometimes in an emergency we'd be asking them to shake buckets and
Yeah.
whatever. So
Mhm.
we try and sort of, we don't want to like email people
Mhm.
every week being like, give us another
Mhm.
3 hours.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, but like when you have your date sorted and you know what your events are,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could,
ask.
you know, see what we can do there.
Are there any legal aspects that we need to be aware of with any of this?
Probably like insurance, but that may be covered like when you decide on your venue, like if you're doing it in UCD, they may be covered anyway for public events. So I guess that's probably the best thing to check.
I think the other possible thing would just be kind of brand reputation. Like,
Mm.
again, just coming back to the gender equality, you just have to be careful in just whatever event you promote. You know, posters. Well, if there are posters, you'll be fine. But you know, if you're creating posters, just to maybe check with us what images you're using and
Yeah.
wording and things like that. Just because I know that sometimes college events can kind of
Yeah.
be the wrong side of.
If
Yeah.
we were creating a website for our event, like using Oxfam logos and things like that, is there any difficulty there with
I
like,
suppose
copywriting things?
What
or-
we would probably ask is that if you're going to do anything like that, that you share it with us first and just let us make sure, because obviously a lot of events happen, so we just try to be careful with how people use our logo, and
Sure.
obviously we have brand guidelines and all the
Yeah.
rest. So we would just ask that you just sort of give us a view of that before it goes live, and then we can say, oh, can you
Gotcha,
actually make
views
it
sort
like
of
that?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably how we do it.
Would it be possible if the event looks like it's going to be a big thing to get somebody here to design a website or a section?
I
that-
can check with the digital team. I mean, basically with the Heroes campaign, and then soon after we're having another big campaign. So I don't know what their capacity will be like, but I can
Mm.
check with them and see.
They might be able to at
Um,
least point you to somebody who could help you though,
Yes,
as well, if
yeah,
they
yeah.
can't do it themselves.
Like, would you need this? I suppose the other thing is that this was going to be an event where you'd need people to sign up, like on Teams. We do have that sort of like a standard event page set up. So, for example, at the moment we're promoting our Trail Tracker event, which is happening in June. And so for that, people go to the website and they register their details, and then there's sort of like a set page where they can put in, okay, here's my name, here's my phone number, here's my team name, or whatever. So if you needed something like that, it's possible that the way that's been constructed is that it can be reskinned for different events.
Okay.
So it may be that we could do something like that, which
Yeah.
might help with the kind of logistics side
Absolutely,
of it. I'll check that for you. And that also might mean that you don't need it sort of as a standalone site, that it could just sit
Yeah.
sort of as part of the Oxfam network, but obviously you'd have access to all the details in terms of like who signed up.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
As far as finances are concerned, for example, tomorrow I'll arrange some event and I raise 400 euros. So it's like you have any account for which we can have access, so that we can just put that
Oh,
money,
just
because
put the
we
money,
don't
yeah.
want that a huge amount of money at at our
Sure,
stall,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah, I
difficult to
think
manage
that's-
for us as well.
I think
So
that
that's-
there's like
Some account which
a bank account which they use for donation purposes like that, so you could just put it in there and then
Yeah,
just like
I
mark
know.
it as UCD.
and yeah, we can have access. Yeah, we have this much amount of money in that.
So would you need them to access that money again? Is that what you mean, or?
Or just donate it in kind of.
No, well, the only thing is that with the actual tag rugby event, if that was to be a big thing, that we were hoping maybe to do with the smaller event, like a table quiz, to raise some seed money to fund for, say, the renting of the stadium or something like that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Because-
Something small. And we're also trying-
I'll check that out. So like if you were to hold the quiz and then you raise like 500 euro, but then you needed that to
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
we
like, just
spend
all the
like for
money,
promotions
okay.
and everything, and then again raise money.